Hello, good afternoon.
That's funny, yeah.
How are you doing? Still all good? Fantastic. So, interesting panel. I have to say, unfortunately, Kati couldn't join because she unfortunately got sick, so our best wishes to her. And today, we actually still got 3 amazing speakers. So, ladies first, right? We have Trina from Roche. Trina, how are you doing? How did you like? Have you learned anything so far?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great experience. Agreeing very much with everything we've heard so far. Some really interesting takes on the narrative as well. So we'll be taking that back and testing on our own environments.
Fantastic. Os?
Yeah, doing great.
Are we aligned with the States, or is Europe still far away behind?
Mostly aligned.
Really?
Except I'm not going to use OptiChannel yet. So.
Okay.
You're on your own.
So you're killing the Opti-channel already before it's implemented?
I think so. I don't know.
Good.
I'm not there yet.
Fair enough. Okay, next year. And Mr. Dirk, our very good friend, how are you doing?
Of course, I'm doing very well, and I'm going to align with my colleagues here, literally now.
Exactly.
To sit at the same. No, for me, it's great to meet a lot of people here from both sides, the business and the vendor side, because I think that's creating this very creative kind of environment about what is expected and how to do it. So looking forward to the rest of it.
So let's deep dive into the conversation. I think a very interesting title, which obviously you can all read. So my first question would be, what are actually the expectations when we speak about AI in commercial medical? And I think that really changed a lot in the last year or so. Maybe we can start with you, Trina, and us, and maybe then Dirk, you can build on that, because I think you also have another point of view, because you're working with many different pharma companies, as we all know. So, Trina?
Yeah, I think we've gone beyond that point of does AI have a role
Value?
Well, you know, in terms of, there's nuance to that though. Does AI have a role in the future of pharma and pharmaceuticals, whether we're talking from a commercial or a medical standpoint? I think, you know, as we've heard many times today, even if it's just in the case of reducing everyday burden, I think it's already here.
Exactly.
You know, I don't think there is any challenge. A few years ago, yes, we would be talking about, yes, is that, you know, a new fandangled thing, it might die out. Here, I think people are convinced. But when you go along that continuum to reducing everyday burdens, all the way to, okay, it's starting to make decision making, it's going to be, you know, driving strategy, it's going to give us our next competitive edge and a competitive advantage. Is it going to replace humans, create Jarvis for us? No, we're not quite there. But, you know, it's a very broad term to say, is AI here?
Exactly. Os?
Yeah. My expectation is not about efficiency, because I know it can deliver that, but it's mostly around impact. Can AI help us create more impact? Can it help us do things that we cannot do on our own, right? For example, can AI mine the data in a way where me or my colleagues or 1,000 people combined cannot actually gather, you know, that insight from that data? Again, we talked about content generation, right? Can I create 1,000 pieces of content in one day and not 1 year? Of course, the efficiency piece, I think, is really important. And that's not even the future, right? That's today. I think a lot of people are already using that. But my expectation and what gets me excited is about more impact and more relevance to patients and physicians.
Absolutely. Dirk?
So my AI module was going in overdrive now when I was listening to both of you. So for me, it's really about increased efficacy and also accuracy. And then linking to what you said, because I really like that, is to drive value, additional value, and tangible value for, being it the patient, because at the end of the day, that's why we are doing it. But, of course, also through the intervenants, being it healthcare environment as such, also the buyers and the payers. And I think in our environment, most importantly, the people that have to do it. So there's a lot of things that you mentioned. There are some barriers, and I think we will go deeper into that. But a lot of this has to do with the mindset shift. And I liked what you said, what you started. We are beyond, and I think exactly we are beyond that point. Everyone says AI is there, will stay there. The question is now, how are we going to leverage it?
Exactly. We all know that one thing in which pharma is really super advanced, one of the best industries in the world, is actually siloing, right? And my question would be, do we really have to silo AI in a separate department, or should we be incorporated? Because I think that basically this certainly can be we can speak about that like part of the change management and implementation process, right? And if we fail with that one, then I suppose we also fail with the entire implementation and adoption, right? So what's your point of view? Maybe we can start with yours.
Sure. My philosophy is not to silo anything, because the minute you silo it, it just becomes the accountability and responsibility of that department and nobody else.
Exactly.
And I think AI is too big for that. We need every single person to be somehow involved in AI, somehow thinking about AI. I will say this caveat, though. I think there is value in having one person or small team really going out there and seeing what's possible with AI, experts in AI, but not just them, right? Them being maybe part of a governance body, because you don't want 100 people starting 100 different projects either. You need some type of governance. You need some type of governing body. But I don't want to silo it to just an AI department where you hire a chief of AI and that's the only thing, the only AI happens there, and that becomes disconnected from the business.
Absolutely. Dirk?
Yeah, I would like to divide it, it's a dangerous word a bit when you talk about silos, between the internal environment and the external environment. Internal, no way to silo it. It should be cross-functional so that everyone can contribute, because it's the richness of all the data which we've been capturing over the years which will deliver the value and have an impact, as we discussed before. And it's making sense out of it. And I think also, when I say internally siloing it, it's to build trust. You mentioned, is AI going to replace us, yes or no? So you need to build trust to show what AI could do and mean for you before you will be able to convince the outside world. So, and we spoke about this before. If it is in your own environment, okay. It was the Adobe person who mentioned it. You can really verify how trustworthy it is because you know what is there. You can expect a specific kind of answer. And I like to make the joke always with what they say about AI and hallucinations, but I see a lot of salespeople and sales leaders who are also hallucinating from time to time. So there's a lot of synergies between that kind of world and what we are talking about. Externally, I think that might be the next step. Once we have decided it is safe, it has been proven, it's trustworthy, let's start using it with healthcare providers and then maybe move on to a next step with patients and so on and so forth.
Trina?
Yeah, I can only agree with a small asterisk.
Okay,
there. So
I like that.
Yes, we should definitely not silo it because obviously, as you said, we've already got a master's degree in how we create a lot of products that maybe don't have the end user in mind. We're very product-centric and we create those things and realize that doesn't have relevance to the end user, doesn't have relevance to the market. So yes, we should get all of these people involved at the very beginning. I think it was in your first opening part where you got medical and compliance and everybody else involved in legal up front, right? So I believe that's the case. However, should we all invest in the entire enterprise at the same time? I'd also say no. Exactly. There are people who should be driving the innovation. There are people that should be owning that piece. And there are countries that should be focusing on some other pieces and allowing that innovation to occur, do that scaling, that experimentation, and then allow it to scale down as well. So I would say not everyone all at once.
Definitely. From a change management perspective, and I think that's super critical, or basically how to prepare the organization to foster or to implement and to scale AI. Maybe we can start this time with you, Dirk. Because you worked in pharma, now you're outside pharma, so...
I think it didn't change, so it's the same on both sides. It's about proper communication. Simply said, what is it you want to do and to achieve? Why do you want to do that? How are you going to do that? What will be the role of everyone in the organization in achieving that? So that's creating already that alignment towards a common goal, which, to simplify it, is to delight your customers, whoever your customer is, if it is an HCP or is it a patient at the end of the day. So that's first one thing. And it's also being clear about the journey you're going to take, but also being very clear that there is no way back, by manner of speaking. And that's why the explanation for me, why are we going to do that and how we are going to do that is a critical piece of the puzzle. And of course, it's practicing what we preach. I've heard many nice speeches, inspirational speeches, till you go into the reality, and then we are master in throwing up hurdles. but in compliance and this and that and etc. etc. So it has to be truly and genuine, this kind of change, and leading the way, showing it.
Exactly.
If a CEO is really leveraging and using it when he's interacting with his community, his company people, and leveraging this, that's walking the talk, and that's very strong.
But also understanding it, because many
Yeah, of course.
CEOs are even
Yeah.
not understanding. I mean,
Yeah.
they are many times having this superficial talk and helicopter overview, but that's another story. Let's invite some CEOs next time. Was?
For me, change management is the biggest piece of the puzzle.
Always.
It's not the technology, right? I think you do need professional change management colleagues that are driving this, not like, hey, I'm involved in AI and I dedicate 2% of my time on change management. We need to talk about incentives. We need to talk about skills. We need to talk about processes, right? We need to talk about how to break down those silos. We need to think about who are we including right now? What are the decisions needed? By the way, who are going to be the decision makers in the future when we have tools available? It's also really important to prepare the organization for something like AI for, again, failures, things that are not going to work, new technology that comes into place that destroy every single thing you planned for in the last 9 months, because now it's a different ball game. But I think people need to know, right? Because we have this linear way of thinking about, we start a project, it goes well, you know, the waterfall, and then it gets better and better, and everything is done. It's not going to work like that anymore.
It's never done, definitely.
Yeah.
Trina?
Yeah, I think would agree with everything these guys have already said, and I would say in the commercial space where I usually work, we're well seduced. We're totally seduced by AI. Everyone wants AI, but they don't necessarily
It's the
know
candy
what
shop, right?
Exactly, exactly. It's the new shiny thing on the horizon, and it's a panacea that's going to cure everything, solve all our business problems. But there's not even an understanding of why do you need it? What situation would you use it in? What problems are it going to solve? So in a classic sort of product adoption curve or sort of steps of it, we typically have gone from awareness, skipped the strategy, skipped the governance, gone straight to experimentation. We want it. I'm not even sure if there's anything else that could solve this that doesn't require the investment, but we just all want it. So in our space, I'm finding that instead of, and this sounds weird for a pharma sort of space where we're usually not fast enough, we were actually telling some of our countries, slow down, work out what you want to achieve with this. What does your ecosystem currently look like? What do your foundations look like? Are you ready for this? And do you have the pieces in place? If you want that thing down the path in your midterm outcomes that will help you solve all these problems, are you doing what you need to do today to actually inform that AI product that will actually give the data that it needs to make intelligent decisions? Otherwise, it's rubbish in and rubbish out.
Exactly.
And in many of the situations, we may be still dealing with data quality. So we can deploy this Fandangle product, which is amazing, and in the right market would do the right thing, but in the wrong markets or in an immature market, it's not going to do anything.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be a waste. If we prioritize that over something else, it's just not the right business decision. So sometimes we are having to say, slow down, but in the right market, we are saying, how can we experiment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that sounds like another website, right? I mean, we invest like €1 million for 6 views, and we say, yeah, we have it, right?
Yeah.
Dirk, you wanted to say something?
No, it's to strengthen what you were saying. At the end of the day, it's an evolution and obviously not a revolution. But most importantly, what I picked up from what you were sharing is that there are a lot of prerequisites that need to be met before you even can start thinking or dreaming about AI and how to apply it. You mentioned one of them, the data quality, etc. Change management, again, when we discuss with customers, it's great when you have believers and non-believers in the same room.
Exactly.
And let them try to convince each other, but also then factually to demonstrate what it could mean for a non-believer. But factually, and that's not always easy to do. So it's a tough journey.
But you made a good point, which is, I think that the overall expectation at the very beginning was, it's a revolution. Now we calm down and we see, for the time being, I think we all can agree it's an evolution somehow, right? I mean, at least we also see many articles that many AI implementation processes fail, that many companies spend heavily in AI, but they don't see clear outcomes yet, right? So I think that expectations definitely completely are different than it was just a year ago, right? Good. Next question. Will AI change how HCPs actually engage with pharma? And let's say in between 1 and 2 years, not 10 years, because then we will have flying cars and robots and Terminators, right?
We were supposed to have flying cars 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, humans are super bad at predicting, right?
Where's our jetpack, right?
Exactly. I mean, I'm still missing my Nikes with those automatic
I
leashes,
know, exactly.
right? Exactly.
I have a pair.
Really?
Yeah.
So what is the future in commercial medical in between today and maximum 2 years, even a year? Who would like to take his crystal ball?
I can start.
Okay.
Okay, this is not going to be exciting. I don't think it will change that much, to be honest with you.
That's a good point.
Again, I think, you know, when we make predictions, we always think about what technology can do for us, and we say, again, flying cars. Yeah, by the way, we do have technology for flying cars.
Yeah, we have.
Right? And we don't think about the, again, change piece of it. We don't think about regulation. We don't think about everything that has to be integrated. I think in 2 years, things will change a little bit. I don't see a world where we come here in 2 years and say, wow, can you imagine, like, do you remember what we were talking about 2 years ago? No, I think it's going to be very similar stuff with more learnings, with more things that we launch. I do believe, I'm going to talk about the US market, that we are really going to have more relevant content at more relevant times for HCP. So that's going to change a little bit, right? We're going to be able to hopefully be more selective in what we send them and how we send to them. I don't see a world where HCPs deal with these highly intelligent bots. You know, we've been talking about chatbots for many, many years. And I never supported chatbots, by the way. And I still don't, because in 99% of the cases, they don't work, right?
Yep.
I don't know. That's, again, not too exciting, but I think it's going to change very gradually.
So maybe rep-triggered emails delivered by a drone.
Exactly.
Could be, huh?
Not emails, mail
Exactly.
by a drone.
Exactly.
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 Just drop in your balcony.
I might be a bit more optimistic. That's why we are sitting next to each other.
Exactly.
I think if the industry, and when I say the industry, it's us here in this room, is willing to share the learnings. Why did we embrace at the end of the day or going with AI, and can share the benefit, the value again, because that's what it is, and how it could help them in increasing the performance, being it of their hospital, their service, their consultation space, it might change. I agree when you say it will, again, not revolution, it will be evolution. But I think in the industry, we have a huge opportunity to share the learnings, what we are doing, and how it is benefiting us to get them also on board, which is another kind of, it's not a therapy that you're bringing to the marketplace, but helping them to better understand and to leverage it themselves within their own environment. I believe in that. Don't ask me by when. I'm not
By the way, there's a lot of potential in bringing therapies to the marketplace, right? Because AI right now is helping us select which molecules to invest dollars on so that it goes on and becomes more successful.
Yeah.
Definitely. Trina?
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's all about perspective on that as well, because I think, you're right. I don't think there's going to be a huge revolutionary change. It'd be so gradual, we won't notice it. But if we ripped it out, we would notice it. So it's the same sort of thing if we went from 3G to 5G. Okay. It wasn't that much. But if you go from 5G back to some country where you've got dial-up, you're really, really annoyed. So I think this will be a gradual change where our day-to-day burdens are reduced. It's just become part of the way that we work. In 2 years' time, it'll be just be natural. A lot of our decisions are enhanced by AI or day-to-day burdens are reduced in that way, and we just won't notice it. It will just be the new normal. I mean, we were really amazed by ChatGPT when it came out, and now everyone is using ChatGPT to, make all sorts of anything from stories in personal life.
But HCPs are also using ChatGPT. Exactly.
It's become sort of normal.
Exactly.
It's so fast that we adapt to it.
Yeah, and I think it will also depend on the specialty. Where accuracy is more involved, or you need to take a speedy decision because you don't have much time. If I see in our industry, if I look at within Pitcher, for example, we use it we start using it to write code and to see what it does. It's the same as you mentioned with molecules. How can it help in fine-tuning or upscaling specific molecules, and so on and so forth. So,
Definitely.
I think the field of how HCPs do work will change more than how HCPs interact with us, right? Think about radiology. Radiology is being disrupted right now like crazy because AI is able to detect a lot of things that human beings are not able to detect. That really excites me, by the way, in terms of how we receive care, maybe in the next, not 2, but 5 years.
So basically what you're saying is that the work of the HCP will change, but the engagement model more or less won't change with pharma.
I think it's going to be very similar. I mean, did you know AI can more easily replace a physician's job, but not a nurse's job? That's more difficult, right? Like, chess is really easy for AI. Washing the dishes is very hard for AI. So I think we need to understand like what AI does best and what AI cannot do, and then really shape like our environment.
But that's a good
around
point,
that.
because, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the first industrial revolution ever where actually blue-collar workers are actually not in danger, right? We speak about highly professional, super-paid jobs who are potentially in danger, right?
Exactly.
So we will be substituted. Good news.
we have to change industry.
Exactly, yeah. Any questions from the audience? Don't be shy. Now you have really great opportunity to ask real cases about AI implementation, please. Just please wait for the microphone.
If I don't have a microphone with my loud voice, but I'll try. It's a little bit related to what I've heard today. AI becoming an enabler, and I think more or less today we started saying the same, right? We're on the oil, AI is here to stay. If you have to see AI as a new operating model, right, in each function organization, what would be the best application, the most successful, right, in your organization?
Maybe I'll repeat myself, but I think the most successful, and we have seen this already, by the way, is really finding those insights that human beings cannot find by themselves, right? Because there's a lot of data, there's a lot of patterns that we don't see as human beings, or even code that we write that AI really sees, and that gives us a lot of insights that lets us shape strategy, content, channels that we use. So I would say that's the one that has already been successful. Again, what I'm really excited about is the ability to really be more relevant to users, because now we are able to create much more at scale and cheaper too.
Yeah.
I'd say the commercialization end of the value chain,
Exactly.
for sure, is the one that is currently really dabbling in that space. All parts of the value chain obviously can dabble in that, but where we're really seeing leaps and bounds, and the demand coming from both internal and external, our end users wanting it as well, I think that's where we'll see it, and then that's the equivalent of your innovators and early adopters that will have it passed down the value chain.
And I would say, looking in from the provider side, or to give a practical example, it is helping us in surfacing very fast the relevant content we are looking for. That's one thing, but also it's keeping you a mirror in front of you. If you are a developer or whatever, is this making sense, or are there better ways? So it becomes a kind of a buddy system which is challenging each other. It's a bit coaching at the end of the day. I see a lot of value in that model. Of course, you need to have a reliable model, and that's what we said. You need to build it. It has to be trustworthy, but then you can start really not treating as a human being, but something to keep you sharp and at the tips of your toes.
Thank you very much.
Thomas?
Thank you.
One question I have, and I'm conscious we've only got a minute left, is how you spoke about change management. How do you see a successful change management process put in place to bring in AI into an organization? Because I think bringing AI in is one thing, but it's how do you change the management approach to make it so it's an accessible tool for everybody with the right behaviors?
Let's extend it for another 50 minutes.
Exactly. You have 17 seconds, go.
Yeah. We have started that process. I think it's a continuation of my previous comment around building foundations, really. That change management, we're lucky in our space. We're not trying to convince people to not use AI, or, to why they should use AI. and where it is adding value. It's the opposite way. Where all of our conversations now is just more around the just slow down. Everyone wants this thing. So, and you'll hear tomorrow from some of our Roche colleagues what we're actually doing in market already, what we've built. We can see the value that it brings. The others, all the countries are seeing from each other what they're doing, and it's just creating basically unsustainable demand for us because there's just so much more that people want. That change management, though, that comes back to those steps of, okay, why do you want it? Where does it fit in your ecosystem and your current strategy? How do you actually plan to implement it? What are your trade-offs? How do we prioritize and invest in it? Those decisions we have to have. And if you have that sort of more balanced conversation, yes, some of these things can come through. But in the commercial space, different to the medical space, which I think Katie would have brought that perspective, in the commercial space, we are not trying to change minds here around why AI.
In 15 seconds, what we're doing right now, top-level alignment on why we're doing this, top-level and all of the enterprise aligning on what are we doing, and then what is expected. What is the expected outcome that we're trying to go to? And then upskilling. We're trying to have like an AI academy of teaching everybody basics to the advanced of what is this and how to use it.
14 seconds. Map all.
I'm counting.
Map all pain points, things people are frustrated about that do not find a solution about themselves, neither their colleagues, and then have a kind of a lab approach to see what could help us. It's a soft way to get buy-in, and we often do that with technology anyhow, is play with it. Oh, damn, this can help me out. It's giving me a solution. So it's a soft way in. That's how I would start, because it all starts with addressing pain points, frustration points, etc.
35 seconds, by the way.
Amazing answers. Easily next time, just say, I agree with, like in a traditional pharma panel, I agree with the colleagues. And that's it. Okay.
What I obviously do.
Thank you so much for joining, and Marco is coming on stage.
Thank you.
Well done.